In the introduction, it really kind of set the stage for what this book is going to be about. Chapter 1 talks about the Hermetic philosophy, and it's basically giving some of the background of where this came from and what has happened up to date. As we know from our previous studies, from YouTube, from books and things of that nature, we know for certain that out of ancient Kemet, some of you know it as Egypt, out of that ancient empire comes all the occult teaching and all the occult wisdom that we have in whatever group you want to call it today. Everything occult, everything spiritual, as far as methodology, as far as path working, as far as identifying the different elements of how the spirit realm works, comes out of ancient Kemet. Out of that ancient culture of people were some of the greatest, even unsurpassed to this date, teachers, sages, wise people. A civilization full of these types of people whose knowledge and wisdom echo through time, even up till now. And of all these sages and guides and gurus and teachers that all existed at the same time, one of them was called the great of the greatest, Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great. He was the master of masters. He was the one who understood and exemplified this knowledge better than anyone else. This is why they call it the Hermetic principles, the Hermetic teachings, because it's based off of Hermes. Now, Hermes is the Greek name for the god of Kemet known as Tahuti, also known as Thoth. This was the god of wisdom. So, according to the legend of the Kybalion, the ancient Hermetic principles were delivered by Thoth himself, by Tahuti himself, by Hermes himself, by Mercury himself. This is the thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter the name. The name only denotes what culture it came from. But this is dealing with the spirit, the energy of genius, the god of wisdom, the scribe, the one who communicates spiritual principles to man. So again, just like I said in the last video about the introduction, you can do a Google search on Hermes Trismegistus, on Tahuti, on Thoth, on Mercury, and come to your own conclusion about whether or not this was a real person or whether this is the energy behind this whole thing. A cursory study of history will show that ancient Kemet influenced every civilization that came after it. And I mean hugely emphasize the influence. Not just how people and civilizations build on top of each other. I mean, Kemet was like the birthplace of civilization. Sumeria, that whole Middle Eastern area of early man, was so advanced that it influenced every civilization afterwards. Whether that be India, Persia, Chaldea, Macedonia, China, Japan, Assyria, Greece, all these nations borrowed heavily from the teachings of ancient Kemet. Now, personally, I don't want to focus too much on the character of Hermes. Just like when my teachings and my videos about the goetic spirits and any other spirits, I don't like to focus too much on the personality of the entity. I like to focus on the energy that that entity brings. That's just my style. Once again, if you care to look deeper, by all means, go forward and do so. But I'm here to study the energy and present it in such a way. So the book also goes on to say, the Hermetic teachings are to be found in all lands, among all religions, but never identified with any particular country, nor with any particular religious sect. So the ancient masters were careful to not let this become another creed, another religion, another philosophy of thought. They wanted to keep this pure and pristine as a set of rules that the universe displays, regardless of what you believe. It is a study of reality. And what happened is that, slowly over time, this teaching of rules, of observation of reality, denigrated, right? It degenerated, and the teachers became priests. They began to mix theology with philosophy. Now we're starting to get into the realm of religion. Now we're starting to have rules and regulations that are based upon man, based upon the society. And this continues to degenerate even to where we get to Constantine, whose iron hand smothered philosophy and covered it with theology. In other words, using Christianity as a weapon, a political agenda, using the guise of Christianity to get rid of all the other belief systems that would oppose Christianity. So with the seed of Christianity's popularity being right there with Constantine using it as a weapon, it can be easily seen how the pattern reflects through history of how Christianity can be and is regularly used as a weapon or a method of control. Now there are true principles in the midst of Christianity. The problem is the people who teach the system, right? Unfortunately, a lot of times have a negative agenda, and that negative agenda leaves a horrible taste in the mouths of many who practice that religion. In any case, the book says that the Hermetic philosophy is the master key that opens the doors of all occult teachings. Why is that? Because what we've established in the introduction and in this chapter, all other religions, all other schools of thought when it comes to the spiritual realm and the universal laws are based right here in the 7 Hermetic principles. So everything else is basically a fragment of what this book is based on. So understanding the 7 basic principles helps you to unlock the understanding of any other religious spiritual system out there, which is why I chose to do a study on this book first, right? Because I believe in going back to the basics, and I believe in helping people who are brand new to this get to where I am and where others are much faster, to cut the time in half. So learning this, learning the master key, learning about these 7 principles will help you to understand everything else much easier. And understanding this also will enable you to go into any other religion, any other spiritual practice, and understand it better, take away from it, right? You're going to be able to do what chaos magic attempts to do. Take a little bit from everything and utilize it for yourself without having to be restricted or bound to any one thing. Because now with these 7 principles, you can understand how different spiritual systems work, right? And understanding how means that you can just take what works and use it without having to put a label on yourself. Oh, I belong to this religion, or I belong to this group, or whatever. You don't have to belong to anything. All you have to have is a zealous thirst for truth. Your spirit's going to guide you the rest of the way. So really, these 7 principles are about the art of Hermetic alchemy. What is Hermetic alchemy? Hermetic alchemy is the mastery of mental forces. It's about the transmutation of one kind of mental vibration into another. So by being able to transmute and change and convert mental vibrations, we're able to transmute and change and convert anything else. Because the mental world is where all things originate. Okay, it starts there. Then you have the spiritual, the energetic world, and that trickles down to the physical world. So, real change doesn't start in the physical, doesn't start in the spiritual, it starts in the mental plane. So the Kybalion and these Hermetic principles teach the art of mental transmutation, of changing the energy, changing the form, changing the force, changing the spirit to affect everything else underneath. So we're going to get into that. The next chapter is going to go in depth on what the 7 Hermetic principles are, and it's going to set the stage for us to really dive in deep, one at a time. So, this concludes this video. Stay tuned for the next one.